You know, when I was 17, I worked in this little sandwich shop. And I remember one day, this lady came in there and she told me what she wanted. And so I went over there, I made that sandwich. I made it so good for her too. You know, spread the mayonnaise on it all nice and evenly. Put the lettuce and the onions and the pickles and black olives and all that stuff that she asked for. And I was proud of that sandwich, man. Good sandwich. Cut it in half, wrapped it up, walked up to the cash register, set it up on the counter and rung her up. And she looked down at it. She said, "That ain't my sandwich." And I said, "Yes, ma'am, that's your sandwich. That's what you ordered." She said, "Well, it might be what I ordered, but that ain't my sandwich, because my sandwich is made by people who wash their hands. Go wash your hands and make me a new sandwich." You know what she could have done is, when I was making it, she could have told me, "Go wash your hands." But that's cool, man. I was young, so I didn't know any better. So I went and washed my hands, came on back. But you know what I can do? You know what I can do? I can use hand washing to prove that God is real, and that the Bible is real, and that Jesus is real. Check it out. In Leviticus chapter 15, man, that's kind of like a yucky book right there, man. It talks about bodily fluid and hand washing and bathing and all of that sort of thing. But God told Moses that if anybody comes in contact with another person's bodily fluid, that they're to go wash their hands in the water. There's a lot of stuff in Leviticus that people are supposed to do and not supposed to do. And we read it, and sometimes in our head, man, we can be like, God just don't want us to have no fun, man. You know what I mean? It's all about control. Religion's about control. The whole thing's about control. You know, it's made up God and made up rules just to control humanity, control mankind. But what if everything that God put in there, he put in there to help, not harm? So check this out, man. Look at this. In 1847, the physician's name was Ignaz Simuel. And he was a physician in I think it was Vienna Hospital, I believe. Honduran physician in a Vienna hospital. You have to look him up. But he was noticing something. He was noticing that they had a huge problem with infant mortality. When the babies were being born, they were dying shortly after. And he's trying to process this in his head and figure out, man, what's happening? You know, why are these babies dying? You know, something's going on here. What is it? And it dawned on him that maybe there was something on the doctor's hands, that when they were delivering the babies, it was poisoning. You know, because they didn't know anything about germs or viruses or bacteria. They didn't know anything about any of that stuff. So he came up with this chlorine-based solution, and he told the doctors, before you do your checks on the women, and before you deliver the babies, wash your hands in this chlorine solution. And what they noticed is that when the doctors did that, they had a huge decline in infant mortality in the hospital. So Ignaz, he knew that he was right. It was something on their hands, yet he still didn't quite know what it was, but word spread. So doctors began washing their hands. Can you imagine? Before 1847, doctors didn't wash their hands? I read in one place that some doctors also performed mortuary stuff, you know? So 1 minute they would be doing the dead body, and then the next minute they would be checking your tonsils or whatever, if you had an earache or headache or, whatever they were checking. But they would contaminate their hands in one area, and they would come back, and nobody knew, man. Everybody was getting sick, and nobody was living very long because of all of it. But Ignaz, when he said to wash your hands, people started living and stopped dying. So when God told Moses, you ought to wash your hands if you come in contact with bodily fluid, God knew that bodily fluid was contagious and would make other people sick. Nobody knew, again, about microorganisms. Nobody knew about viruses. Nobody knew about bacteria. Nobody had a reason to believe that you should wash your hands, because they didn't know it would make you sick. So if God told Moses that in 1446 BC, right? And then Ignaz figured his stuff out in 1847. That means that 3,292 years before anybody started washing their hands, God put it in the Bible. Wash your hands. There's a reason he put that in there. All of his laws are here to help you, man. You know, there's a law that talks about not moving your property line. You know, that is a law, but it's to help you, because you do that and you get caught. Your neighbor gets mad. They come over, they hit you with a rock in the head or whatever. So anyway, take that as another fact that the Bible is real, God is real. And wash them little palms right there, baby, especially if you're going to make a sandwich.